All right, it's time to go over my starts of the week for week 2. Now, we're going to start here at quarterback position. We're talking about Jared Goff. He's taken on a Seattle Seahawks defense ranked number 31 after they were absolutely thrashed by Matthew Stafford in week 1. Now, Jared Goff does have wide receivers to throw to for the likes of Amon-Ra St. Brown, Josh Reynolds, Marvin Jones Jr., and Sam Laporta, so he does have some good viable options for you for the fantasy aspect of catching the football. He was very efficient against the Chiefs in week 1. He was able to not only compete up there with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, but they were actually able to beat the Chiefs in week 1. Now, they've shown that they really belong to be in the playoff conversations, and if you were one of those owners who had Aaron Rodgers as your starting quarterback, Jared Goff would be a good side bet. You might be able to pick him off of waivers, or you might be able to trade for him at a very cheap cost. Jared Goff is definitely a go this week against the Seahawks. Coming into the next quarterback, we're going to talk about Trevor Lawrence. Now, Trevor Lawrence going against a Chiefs pass defense who was just torn up by Jared Goff, the guy who we just talked about in week 1. The Chiefs pass defense actually after 1 week ranks number 27, and he has the people to throw to just like Calvin Ridley, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and Evan Ingram. This should be a high-powered game, and the Chiefs will come out swinging after losing week 1. They're not going to want to lose another week, so you know they're going to be able to pour a lot of points in that, and that's where Trevor Lawrence comes in. He's going to be competing a lot against Patrick Mahomes, and it should be a high-powered type of game to where you're going to see a lot of fantasy points actually produced in this game. So the last quarterback we're actually going to talk about here today is going to be Geno Smith. They're taking on a Lions pass defense who ranks number 24, and he needs to be able to prove himself to where he's not kind of a 1 week type or 1 year wonder as from last year. He was 16 for 26, 112 yards and a touchdown in week 1, and he needs to be able to provide some type of fantasy asset value, and I think this is the week that he does do it. Now, he does have some people to throw to him. We're talking about DK Metcalf, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and Tyler Lockett, to name just a few guys. These guys are absolutely phenomenal. These guys can play and put up a lot of points for you. And Geno Smith, number 1, he needs to provide or prove that he can be that quarterback, and I think he does do that. Get Geno Smith definitely in your lineup. He just needs to prove that last year wasn't type of fluke. And, you know, the Lions are actually really good this year, so Geno Smith's going to have to up his game if he wants to compete in the NFL and prove that he belongs as a starter in this league. You know, dropping to 0-2 would be a very difficult pill to swallow for the Seahawks. I think Geno Smith ups for his game and has a decent game against the Lions, especially again if you had Aaron Rodgers. Geno Smith, another option you can definitely go to put into your lineup. So let's move over to the running backs. We're going to talk about Aaron Jones going up against a Falcons run defense ranked number 28th right now. Last week he had 9 carries for 41 yards, while AJ Dillon had 13 carries for 19 yards. Now we do have to remember Aaron Jones was taken out of the game in the 3rd quarter last week just due to a hamstring injury, but he did jog off the field, so it does look like to me that he will be good to go for week 2 against the Falcons. He would have really led the backfield in touches if it weren't for that injury. So Jones should be able to run all over these Falcons in week 2. Get Aaron Jones in your lineup. Another guy we're going to talk about here on the other side of the football in that game would be Tyler Algier. He's going against the Packers run defense ranked number 26, and he really shocked a lot of people. I mean, Tyler Algier is a very good running back, and he's getting the opportunity even with Robinson on the team as that highly touted rookie on there. He had 15 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns last week, while Bijan Robinson only had 10 carries for 56 yards. So Tyler Algier is still going to be well into this game plan. He's going to be productive for you. Get him in your lineup at least a flex play, but a good running back to this week against the Packers. Last running back we're going to talk about today is going to be Jamal Williams. I had him as a start of the week last week as well. Didn't do as well, but I think he's got the bell cow type of workload here. 18 carries for 45 yards. Going against the Panthers run defense ranked number 27th in the league right now after 1 week. The Titans have been very good run defense for quite a few years, and that's why he didn't have that many yards, but he still had the volume, and that's what we talk about here. 18 carries. Carr was trying to get a feel for New Orleans, and Williams should be able to be leaned on more this week now that Carr doesn't have to come out there and get his jitters. I think you see Jamal Williams have a great game against the Panthers. Let's move right along over here to the wide receivers. First guy we're going to talk about here is DeAndre Hopkins taking on the Chargers pass defense, ranked number 32, dead last in the league. In week 1, he had 13 targets, 7 receptions for 65 yards against that Saints defense. He was clearly the main go-to option for Ryan Tannehill. We have to remember with the Saints defense, Marshawn Lattimore was blanketed on Hopkins for most of that game, and he still was able to have 7 receptions for 65 yards. That tells me he's going to have plenty of opportunities to explode this week against a Chargers secondary that isn't even, in my opinion, close to what the Saints have in the secondary. He should have definitely an easier time making that splash this week. So look for getting DeAndre Hopkins into your lineups. Now, the next guy I'm going to talk about here is going to be Josh Reynolds. Now, he's going against a Seahawks pass defense, ranked number 31st in the league right now in passes. He had 7 targets in week 1, which really shocked me that he got that kind of volume, but he's able to bring in 4 receptions for 80 yards. So someone that I think that you can really, if you need a wide receiver, you can put him in there at your wide receiver 3/flex type of spot. I mean, he seems to be the clear-cut number 2 option on this team. Marvin Jones Jr. didn't really do much with the opportunities that he was given, so he should continue to see a solid workload without Jameson Williams on the field. Like I said before, I think he's a very nice flex play. Next one here that I have on my list is going to be Christian Kirk, going against the Chiefs pass defense, ranked number 27th in the league right now. He had only 3 targets in week 1, 1 reception for 9 yards. He had a very underwhelming game, to say the least, in week 1, but I definitely do see a bounce back type of week here in week 2 against a hungry Chiefs team that, again, they're going to need to score a lot of points. Christian Kirk was so good for this offense last season. He's going to continue to do good. The Jaguars are going to need to air it out just to keep pace with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. I see Christian Kirk at least having more opportunities than Zay Jones, as Zay Jones had in week 1. So Christian Kirk bounce back week this week. Get him in your lineup. Now, let's go over to the tight ends here. Talk about Dalton Schultz. He's taking on the Colts pass defense, ranked number 26 in the league, 4 targets. He only had 2 receptions for 4 yards. He only received 4 targets, but there was 21 targets between Nico Collins and Robert Woods. I don't see that happening like this. I don't think Robert Woods is going to have that type of volume. The Colts gave up 5 receptions for 49 yards last week, just to the tight end spot. So I think I see Schultz just being a bigger part of the game plan this week. Look for CJ Stroud to use Schultz like Bryce Young kind of used Hayden Hurst last week, the dink and the dunks to the tight end as their safety blankets. Now, let's move on to the next tight end here. We're going to talk about Zach Ertz. Now, Zach Ertz taking on the Giants defense, ranked number 8th, but there's a reason why I'm suggesting Zach Ertz here. Now, he had 10 targets at the tight end spot in week 1. He had 6 receptions for only 21 yards, but the biggest downfall really for Ertz here is the quarterback position. So if you take that away, Ertz has a huge target share because there's no one else there to throw the ball to. The Giants defense may rank number 8th, but the mere volume alone that Ertz will see will give him enough fantasy relevance to put into your lineup. If you need a tight end, get him in your lineups. Others may be scared away from that 8th best pass defense, but I'm just saying right now, go ahead and start Zach Ertz. Last but not least on this list, we're talking about Coale Commit going against the Bucs pass defense, ranked number 30th in the league right now after 1 week. He had 7 targets last week, 5 receptions for 44 yards. Commit looks to be a viable option at the tight end once again for the Bears. He's built a nice rapport with Justin Fields, and he should be a serviceable option if you're looking for a low tier type of tight end to put into your lineup. Now onto the Bengal Tiger start of the week. Our Bengal Tiger start of the week is David Montgomery. People seem to forget how good David Montgomery was last season. Now with the Detroit Lions, everyone wrote him off because of that highly drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. He did everything plus more in week 1 to dispel all of those rumors that he would take a backseat to Gibbs. Montgomery rushed 21 times for 74 yards and a touchdown, and now this week he gets to go against the Seahawks defense that ranks in the middle of the pack for rush defense. He will once again be a workhorse that easily makes David Montgomery the Bengal Tiger start of the week.